Can a 25-point lead ever feel unsafe? Because if you're a Spurs fan, you already know the answer, especially when the Timberwolves are on the other end of the court. Saturday night at Frostbank Center, San Antonio did it again. They built a mountain of a lead, watched it crumble like sand, and had to claw their way back through the kind of chaos that makes your heart rate spike and your hands sweat. Anthony Edwards went absolutely nuclear with 55 points, but Victor Wembanyama refused to let this team lose to Minnesota a third time. The final score? 126-123 Spurs. But behind that three-point margin lies a story of brilliance, collapse, and clutch gene activation that might define how we see this team moving forward. Let's break it down. What's up, Spurs fans? Welcome back to Spurs. Quick news, quick, sharp, and all about the silver and black. I'm your host, and today we're diving deep into one of the wildest games of the season, how Wemby saved the Spurs from disaster after they nearly gifted away another massive lead to the Wolves. Before we jump in, drop your city in the comments so we know where the Spurs family's tuning in from. Let's set the stage. Coming into this game, the Spurs sat at 28-13, tied for second in the Western Conference. The Timberwolves, 27-15, sitting fourth. Both teams hunting playoff positioning, both teams desperate for a statement win. But there was history here, ugly, frustrating history. The first two times these teams met this season, both in Minneapolis, the Spurs built huge leads and collapsed in the second half. In their last matchup just 6 days ago, San Antonio led by 19 before losing on a go-ahead runner by Edwards with 16.8 seconds left. Same script, same heartbreak. So when the Spurs walked into Frostbank Center on Saturday, the question wasn't just, can they win? It was, can they hold on to a lead without falling apart? Early on, it didn't look promising. Neither team could find much offense in the first quarter, and the Wolves actually led 22-21 heading into the second. Then something shifted. The Spurs woke up. Wembanyama got involved. Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle started hitting threes. Luke Kornet was catching lobs from Castle. And by halftime, San Antonio had blown the doors off, leading 69-44 after a historic 48-point second quarter. That's right, 48 points. The most the Spurs had scored in a quarter since November 1987, and the fourth highest in franchise history. But here's the part nobody wanted to talk about at halftime. The Spurs had been here before against this exact team, and both times they let it slip away. Do you think the Spurs' second half collapses against Minnesota are a mental issue or a conditioning problem? Type mental or conditioning below. I want to know what the fans think. So what made that second quarter explosion happen? This wasn't just hot shooting, this was championship-level offensive evolution on full display. Here's what you need to understand. Wembanyama scoring 20 points in one quarter, including 4 straight threes, isn't just impressive stats. It's a tactical declaration. When a 7'5" center forces you to guard him 28 feet from the basket, your entire defensive structure collapses. Minnesota had to make impossible choices. Do you send Naz Reid that far out? Do you switch everything and live with mismatches inside? The Spurs exploited every hesitation. Watch what happened next. With defenses stretched, Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper, two guys with elite driving ability, suddenly had runway space. Luke Kornet, one of the league's most underrated screen setters and finishers, was catching lobs because help defense was frozen. The Spurs shot 8 threes in that quarter and attacked the paint relentlessly. This is modern NBA offense at its peak, space creation through shooting gravity, then attacking collapsed defenses. Without Rudy Gobert left hip contusion, Minnesota had no rim protection anchor, and the Spurs weaponized it. But here's the fascinating part. The second half collapse might actually be the Spurs' most valuable asset moving forward. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but stick with me. Every championship team needs to learn how to survive when everything goes wrong. The 2014 Spurs lost Game 6 of the Finals before winning Game 7. The Warriors blew a 3-1 finals lead before winning 2 more championships. This Spurs team is getting championship education in real time. When Minnesota stormed back, sparked by French rookie Joan Beringer's energy and fueled by Anthony Edwards' nuclear 26-point fourth quarter, second highest scoring quarter in Wolves' play-by-play era. The Spurs faced a choice: fold or fight. They chose fight. Wembanyama and Fox went toe-to-toe with Edwards in clutch possessions, trading buckets like heavyweight champions. Here's the hidden stat nobody's discussing. The Spurs are 12 to 3 inches clutch situations this season. That's an 80% win rate when games are within 5 points in the final 5 minutes. This team doesn't panic, they execute. Would you rather have your team learn these lessons in January or in the playoffs? Comment January or playoffs. If this deeper analysis is hitting different, hit that like more breakdowns like this coming your way. Let's talk about what championship teams actually look like when they're being built. Because this game revealed something most people are missing. The Spurs aren't just winning games, they're developing stars through pressure. Victor Wembanyama and Anthony Edwards combined for 94 points, the most ever, by opposing former #1 overall picks in the modern draft era. But here's what that stat actually means. Wembanyama is learning to trade punches with the league's elite scorers in real time. When Edwards hit a jumper, Wemby answered with an 18-footer. When Edwards drained a three, Wemby responded with a three of his own. This is high-stakes basketball education you can't simulate in practice. Then Wemby stole the ball, drew free throws after Edwards shoved him in frustration, and put the Spurs back in front. That's not just clutch, that's veteran IQ from a 2-1-year-old. Now let's talk about the quiet brilliance happening in San Antonio's backcourt. De'Aaron Fox finished with 25 points and 12 assists, but more importantly, this game proved something Fox himself said was a question mark. He and Wemby can both dominate on the same night. They took turns carrying the offense. Fox facilitated in the first half while Wemby exploded. Then in crunch time, they alternated possessions like a perfectly choreographed heavyweight bout. The Spurs are averaging 11.1 points per clutch situation, 5th in the league, on 48.5% shooting, 6th in the league. That's not one player, that's a distributed clutch system where multiple guys can deliver. Fox doesn't have to be a hero every time. Wemby doesn't have to force. And then Keldon Johnson, 20 points off the bench, hits the game-sealing three with 17.3 seconds left. That shot, pure championship DNA. Here's the development pattern nobody's mentioning. Luke Kornet, the veteran big from Boston's championship team, is teaching this young core what winning habits look like. His screens, his defensive positioning, his vocal leadership, this is how you transfer championship culture. If you could add one more veteran to this roster before the playoffs, who would it be? Drop a name below. Here's what this game actually revealed about the 2025-26 Spurs. They have elite firepower, and they're learning how to close games under maximum pressure. Both things can be true simultaneously. The numbers tell an incredible story. Wembanyama, 39 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, including that historic 20-point second quarter. De'Aaron Fox, 25 points, 12 assists, proving he and Wemby can coexist at the highest level on the same night. Keldon Johnson, 20 points off the bench with the game-winning three. This is three-headed offensive firepower that can attack you from multiple angles. The 94 combined points by Wembanyama and Edwards? That's not just a fun stat, it's evidence that Wemby belongs in conversations with the league's elite scorers. He's not waiting 5 years to become that guy. He's that guy right now. But let's address the elephant in the room. The second half collapses against Minnesota. Here's the positive reframe most analysts are missing. Every contender needs adversity to forge championship mentality. The Warriors didn't win their first championship without learning from painful losses. The Spurs' Big Three era started with playoff heartbreak before 5 titles. This team is 28-13 despite still figuring out how to maintain leads. Imagine their record when they solve that problem. Wemby himself acknowledged it post-game. We know it's a problem, and I know our mind is in the right place, but we've got to know where to get to. That's self-awareness. That's accountability. That's championship mindset being built. The West is brutal, yes, but name another team with Wemby's two-way dominance. Fox's playmaking, Castle's development, Harper's potential, and a veteran core led by championship-proven Luke Kornet. What's the Spurs' biggest area for improvement? Drop one word below. Here's what matters moving forward, and why Spurs fans should be more excited than anxious. The Spurs are 28-13, tied for second in the Western Conference at the halfway point of a season most analysts predicted they'd miss the playoffs. They're not just exceeding expectations, they're rewriting the timeline for how quickly a young core can become legitimate contenders. Wemby proved he's clutch in the biggest moments. Fox is fitting seamlessly, averaging 20.4 points and 5.8 assists while shooting nearly 47% from the field. The young core Castle, Harper, Johnson is growing every game, and veterans like Luke Cornett are bringing championship habits from Boston's title run. Yes, they need to fix second-half lapses, but championship teams aren't built on perfection, they're built on resilience under pressure. The Spurs are learning how to win ugly, win close, and win when everything goes wrong. That's playoff basketball. Their next stretch includes Utah Monday, then battles with Oklahoma City and Houston teams that will test every weakness. But if this Spurs team can maintain their elite 12-3 clutch record while tightening their defensive focus, the West better be worried. And if the defensive adjustment Mitch Johnson is reportedly considering for late-game situations actually gets implemented, this team might be unstoppable by playoff time. If this breakdown gave you a fresh perspective on where the Spurs are headed, smash that like and share it with a Spurs fan who needs to understand this isn't just a good team, this is a championship core being forged in real time. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because what's coming next could define this entire season. The pieces are in place, the mindset is evolving, and when this team finally puts together 48 minutes of elite basketball, the entire league is going to feel it. The Spurs aren't just surviving, they're learning how to dominate when it matters most. Until next time, stay silver and black, stay sharp, and stay ready. This is just the beginning. Peace!